Hello guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this very simple and easy kelp farm. So this automatic kelp farm produces actually some kelp, which is actually very useful because kelp can be used as a food source and is also used to make bubble columns, like those elevators that make you go up and down really fast. And they're also used for a lot of other things like XP. So first off, materials. You're going to need at least a few pistons, some observers, some building blocks, and some kelp, of course. Lots of water is going to be used for this build, and at least one hopper so you can collect the kelp. And then a chest, which is highly recommended, but still optional because you can still collect all the items from the hopper. And then also some redstone dust, and a furnace, which is also optional. A furnace would be used for smelting kelp for XP, which I'll show you a way to automate that. Okay, so get one of your building blocks and create a line that will be 7 blocks long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then add a wall behind it like this, all along like this. And then also add a wall here. And skip a block right here and add a wall there. And now what you want to do is just expand this wall going all the way around like this. And so far it should look like this. So now tower 2 blocks up from the walls, so then in total your walls will be 3 blocks tall. And I'm going to add a glass wall in the front, which is optional, but it's very nice to just be able to see how your kelp farm is doing. Now it's time to fill up your farm with water. So in survival I do this one at a time, so add one water bucket there, and then add a water bucket here in this shape, so then you get this pool, like a square, which then you can have an infinite water source and just keep on spamming water, so then it'll fill up like this. And for the third layer, you would do the same thing, so water here and then water here. And now you have an infinite water source, which you can get water from, and then just spam along the side like this. Instead of adding water in the third layer, we're actually just going to add a roof above the water, and then expand the wall height by 1 extra block. And once your farm starts looking like this, now all you have to do is add 2 water sources right here on the edge, where there's no building block right here, as you can see. And now we can break these temporary blocks. And then on the third layer, you're going to want to be careful because you have to make sure that all of the third layer is all water sources. So make sure that you add water here, and then water here, so not on this block, but this block. So now all of these 4 blocks right here, those are all now water sources. So now if we continue on right here, add water source there, and just keep on continuing to add water sources along the side, then all of this third layer will be water sources. Now it's time to add the kelp. So just add the kelp on top of your building blocks, and once you've done that, then you can just replace any other blocks you want to replace. Like, I don't want this dirt here, so I'll just replace it. So that's the first part of your farm done. Now it's time to add the breaking system and the collection system. So first off, the breaking system. So we're going to need to go back into the farm and then break this kelp. And then quickly break this block and then right click to add a piston, so you can have the piston and the offhand, and then you can have a pickaxe or axe depending on what your building block is. And then just break and then place quickly like that, and just keep on doing that with all of the kelp. So once you've got all these pistons 1 block above the kelp like this, then now it's time to add the observers. So for the observers, you're actually going to want to go outside of your farm. So before we add the observers, you're actually going to need to add blocks behind the pistons like this, and then get up like this, and then break each block with a piston above it like this. So since there's a piston above this block, then I'll just break a block here quickly and then place the observer like that, and you just have to keep on doing that for all of the pistons. So once you've made sure all of the observers and pistons are aligned with the kelp blocks, now it's time to add the redstone dust behind right here on this ledge. So far, this is what your farm should look like. It should have observers and redstone dust on the back like this, and then on the front there should be observers and pistons facing towards you, facing towards the kelp. And once you've made sure everything is in order, now we can start with the collecting system. So first off, you're going to want to break these 2 blocks right here, and then you can add either a chest or just a temporary block right here, and then add at least 1 hopper. But I would recommend adding 2. And now all I have to do is just add a wall around the hoppers like this, and then you can break these 2 blocks like that. Now if you're only going to be using 1 hopper, let's say I don't have a hopper here, just one right there, then add a wall like this and a platform like this, so it looks like this, and then just add a wall right here, break this, and then add a water bucket here, and that'll make all items flow into just this 1 hopper. Before I go on with the video, consider pressing that red subscribe button. It's free and it really helps out the channel. Okay, so this is the part where you're going to want to decide if you want just to store your kelp or if you want an automatic kelp XP farm. So if you just want to collect kelp, then just add a chest like this and then add a slab above here like this. Or if you just want an automatic XP farm, then just forget the chest and then add a furnace down here. Break this hopper, but remember, water's gonna flow out, so be careful about that. So break the hopper and then shift click like this, so I'm holding shift, and then place the hopper down like that, and now you're good. I would also recommend having a chest right here, then a hopper going into that chest, so then you'll have a lot more storage. And don't forget to add fuel so it can cook the kelp. And I would recommend having a roof above your farm, or else sometimes kelp can actually float up so fast to where it actually bounces out onto the wall, which would not be useful because then they just despawn. So now your kelp farm is actually done, which is actually really cool. But if you want a bigger kelp farm, then I will show you how to expand it right now. So let's say you wanted 18 kelp plants growing instead of just 7. First off, you'd want to mark off where you'd put those kelp plants. So I've already got 7 plants here, so then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, and then just expand the wall around it like this. And don't forget that at the end, you're going to want to have an extra block like that. And once your walls are 3 blocks tall, it's basically the same thing. All I have to do is just add water on both of the layers like this. And you can also break the rest of the wall right here. And now I've added 2 layers of water, but you can actually add 3 layers of water, because what you're ultimately wanting to do is raise your water level up 1 extra, so then by the time the water reaches here, it would already be depleted, so then it just fall into this area. So I know that probably sounded confusing, but just follow my steps. So now add a 3rd layer of water, and then expand your wall by 2 extra blocks, and now you'll add your temporary roof like this. And then depending on how much you're expanding your farm, you're going to want to count from this block right here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks like that, and then add your 2 water sources right here. And if you're building your farm even farther than this, like I am, then just fill in this part right here, and then extend your walls 1 block higher all around like this, so that your wall is 1 block taller, starting where the water source is right here. And for me, my farm actually does not extend 4 blocks that way, it only extends an extra 3. So what you're going to want to do is add 2 signs right here, so 1 sign right there, and then 1 sign right there. And now you can add 2 more water sources right here. But if you're lucky and your farm is actually perfectly symmetrical, then you won't need these signs, but most likely you are going to need them. So now on your highest layer, break all these temporary blocks right here, and then fill them in with water. And don't forget, you're not going to add water right here, only right here where there's another stream running over it. And now for me, I actually have a 2nd layer because I'm extending this farm to be very big. But for you, it could only have been like probably 1 layer, or if you wanted a really big farm, you probably have done many layers. So just keep on breaking blocks for each layer 1 by 1. So now that I've broken the 2nd layer, now I'm going to make sure that I add water all around in this layer. Oops, oh, I messed up right there, see? Don't want to mess up like that. All you have to do is just add a block and then it'll delete that water source. So yeah, this was the layer, so I'm just gonna restart it just to make sure. So I'm gonna go across all like this until I reach here, Oh no, that's not good. I'm actually going to have to add 2 blocks like that. So if your stream ever does that, just add 2 blocks before where it broke. So let's say I'm gonna break it right here and then break it again. So as you can see, this part is just not a stream, it's just not flowing water and all, and that's bad because items can actually get stuck in here. So make sure you add the water source that you accidentally broke or blocked. So let's say you just blocked it like that. Then just make sure that you come over here, and then where there's a stream, just add a block like that, and then it'll refix it. And then make sure just to add water here, so then there will be no air pockets. And once you've done all the streams and filled in the rest of this area with water sources, now it's time to add the kelp plants right here, all along the area you marked. And then you can also break these blocks if you want to and replace them with the block of your choice. And then continue the row of pistons all the way till the last kelp plant. And then continue the sledge to cover all of the pistons. And also add observers on top of the pistons. Then just get your redstone and place all the redstone on top of the ledge. And the collection system will be the exact same thing, so you don't have to worry about making any new fancy one. But you do, however, have to add a roof on top of here. And you can actually make it so the roof just goes down like this. It doesn't have to be the exact same height. And there you go, now you've got your automatic kelp farm. And before I end this video, I just want to share a pro tip so you can actually turn the dried kelp into blocks by using a crafting table. So in the crafting menu, all I have to do is just drag it along like that and cover up all 9 slots like that, and then you got 1 dried kelp block, which you can actually use instead of using coal. So as you can see, when using dried kelp blocks, it's actually being able to burn the kelp. And the other cool thing is that it takes 9 kelp in order to make 1 kelp block, but a kelp block can burn actually more than 9 kelp, which might sound confusing, but over time, if you keep on using kelp as your fuel source, you'll still end up having more and more kelp building up in here, which you can also use for other furnaces in your world, which is actually really cool. And if you want to collect the XP from your furnace, then all you'd have to do is either quickly try to grab the dried kelp from the furnace, or you can just temporarily break the hopper and then wait for some kelp to come in here and then just pick up the dried kelp from there. Or you can have a lever, and right in front of the block where the hopper is, you just place the lever down and then flick the lever, and then just wait for some kelp to be smelted. So as you can see, I have the lever flicked, and now the dried kelp actually stays there. And when I pull it out, do you hear that? That was the sound of some XP going into my XP bar, which is actually really cool. And don't forget to unflick the lever, or else items will just keep on building up, and that'd be pretty sad, because then this furnace would fill up very quickly instead of taking advantage of extra storage like this. So there you go, now you know how to build this kelp farm and also how to expand this kelp farm, which is actually a very useful thing to know in survival worlds and also SMPs, because when you're in them, you're usually trying to compete with your friends to like be the best player, and when you have a kelp farm, that really helps your chances of becoming a really good Minecraft player. And there you go, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and while you're down there, leave a comment on what I should do next. If you have not already, consider pressing that sub button. And before I go, I just want to say that you matter. See ya later.